it always comes down to attraction. You can only help the people you attract, right? So, and how do we attract people? We attract people through marketing, through promotion. And frankly, in chiropractic done at its highest level, this means education, right? So, and educating patients is for the promotion of chiropractic.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
What's up, Remarkables? Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Stephen Franson.
And I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
Hey, would you like to have 10 to 15 additional new patient referrals into your practice every month, month after month for free? I know, raise your hand. Not if you're driving. So listen, of course you would. It's a game changer, right? It's a game changer for everyone. I don't care where you are. You might have 3 new patients a month right now, or you might have 103 new patients a month. Doesn't matter. An additional 10 to 15 new patients coming in every single month, especially referred new patients coming in and month out, is a game changer. Dr. Pete, talk about a way to just really create an infusion and level up your practice, especially if they're coming in consistently.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's no question about it that this is the blue ocean that will remain blue in your business because number one, the ROI is the highest ROI, number one. Number two, it actually is a reflection of your leadership. It's going to be a reflection of, and that question we ask ourselves as CEOs, the leadership question is, who do I need to become? So this is going to come back to a couple of things. Number one, your vision and your leadership, and then we're going to systematize it for you. But here's the thing I don't want to have happen today on this podcast, because it's a podcast and we're coaches and we teach this stuff all day. We could go right to mechanisms and systems, but I'm going to go back. I really think we need to go we got to go upstream and say, guys, we got to go back to vision and leadership. This comes back to vision and leadership. We're going to give you mechanisms. Everybody wants to know how. Okay. Tell me exactly how to do that. Tell me exactly what to say. So this is a deeper conversation, Dr. Stephen. This goes back to the why, and this goes back to the who. This is who you're being, and this is why you're doing what you're doing. And then that goes back to then translates to your patients and who they're being and why they're going to do it. So we've got to start with vision, and we've got to start right there. And we've got to get back to leadership, because this is a vision and leadership challenge or opportunity really for us. And we have to have this conversation about this today. So Dr. Stephen, I think that's where we have to start, because
we always start at the heart, right? So let's remember our purpose, right? So, in the Remarkable Practice, we summarize it very simply. Our purpose is to restore health. And I'm sure that your purpose is something that sounds very much like that, right? So however you word it, however you wordsmith that, and whatever's on the placard in the wall, right? So whatever that is for you, I think it boils down to, at least all the chiropractors I know, that the reason we got into this is we want to help people get better health outcomes, right? So we want to have them have a better health trajectory for them and for their families, right? So, this boils down to just the ability of ours to attract more people into our sphere of influence, right? So it always comes down to attraction. You can only help the people you attract, right? So, and how do we attract people? We attract people through marketing, through promotion. And frankly, in chiropractic done at its highest level, this means education, right? So, and educating patients is for the promotion of chiropractic, right? So I like to say that marketing chiropractic is an act of kindness. I think the promotion of chiropractic is a moral obligation. So you know what you know, and they would do what you do if they knew what you knew, right? So we've got to tell them, right? So ultimately, this always comes down to, it's not just an opportunity, it's a responsibility, right? So as we get on the other side of that, we're going to talk about how do we live out that responsibility, and we can get tactical with it. We're going to teach you guys a system. We call it the low-hanging fruit system. This is part of our remarkable referral machine that we teach inside of the Remarkable Practice, right? So Dr. Pete, today we're going to talk about low-hanging fruit. But before I do that, I want to recognize a group that really is on purpose. I'm looking at my t-shirt here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I promise you guys, I'd be shouting out. These people send me t-shirts. I just so appreciate. This is coming from Dr. Heather and Dr. Marley Smith. You guys are awesome. This is from Living Well out there in Wyoming, right? So I love this one. It says, healthy until proven sick. They're just badasses. They're just awesome. And from my watch crowd, what am I wearing today? Pete, this is one of my favorites, the TRP colors, right? So that's the Batman, right? So that's the Submariner, the blue and black Submariner. So my Instagram crowd out there, my watch masters, all the watch lovers out there. We're just coming off of our financial conversation. And why am I talking about a Rolex? Is it, it sounds pretentious, but listen, this is an unbelievable investment. This thing right here, that retailed for $8,700. This right now, it's going 25, 26, 27,000, right? So you talk about a way to amplify your wealth. And my plan is a way to pass wealth down generationally. What a great way to transfer wealth, right? So to my kids, I collect things that appreciate. And I recognize that, I love these things. So I'm passionate about them. So I really enjoy owning them. I don't get as much of a stimulation from my, my stock portfolio, although I do appreciate how it's appreciating. At the same time, having something beautiful like this that I can pass down to my children, great way to transfer wealth. So Dr. Pete, today we're talking about getting after it when it comes to generating more new patient referrals, right? And we're going to talk about the low hanging fruit in the practice.
Yeah, I love this conversation about the attraction is a moral obligation. It's a moral obligation for us to that we would be promoting chiropractic and that we would be attracting people into our practice. That this is a part of your responsibility, right? It's a responsibility that you have to market to your community. It's an actually act of kindness. And so I want to talk about three things, and we call these in many ways the X factors. I want to start here because it's really important is that, your ability to attract as an individual, as a practice, is a reflection of your certainty. Okay. So we talk about what is certainty, and there's a few different parts of certainty, but I'll say at the foundation, your certainty about the philosophy of what you do, the certainty around the art of what you do, and the certainty around the science of what you do. You have to have certainty when you go into the community, whether you are physically in the community or simply your message or simply your energy of your presence in the community is into the community. The certainty that your essence, the substance of who you are being and your practice represents in your community, that certainty that's going to attract people energetically. It's an energy. Just like, where are these people coming from? You guys know that, when you've had those new patients, like, where are these people coming, man? They're coming out of the woodwork. What is going on? Because there's an energy, and the energy is certainty. So the first thing is that we want to increase our level of attractiveness. We want to take that moral obligation, that responsibility to heart. It starts with certainty. So number one is, as me, as a doctor, as you as an owner or CEO listening to this, your team, right? It's a reflection of your certainty and your team's certainty, and referrals would then be the reflection of your patient's certainty. So remember, your floor is their ceiling. So you have to continue to raise the bar, raise the roof on your certainty. So I want to first just speak to that and say, the attractiveness, your ability to attract new people is a reflection of your certainty. Then we talk about that conversion is a reflection of your conviction. Conviction to what? Conviction specifically to your recommendations for care, specifically saying, my recommendations for you specifically, Stephen, is based on two specific things. Number one is your health goals. Number two is my clinical findings. And that has enabled me to give you a very specific and convicted recommendation for care where I'm not in a negotiation with you. And so we talk about that your conviction is what drives conversion, and then your clarity is what's going to drive retention. Well, all of those actually are going to then lead down to your ability to be connected with people, which is then going to enable you to be able to influence people, to move, to take action. And that's what today is about. Today is about, we're talking about new patient generation, specifically we're going to dig into an element of the remarkable referral machine and how to generate those. And we're specifically saying there's some low-hanging fruit. We're going to be economists today. We're going to say, listen, keep your money in your pocket and let's figure out ways that we can generate more new patients in this, whether it's post-COVID or middle COVID. I don't know, Dr. Stephen, what do you think it is right now?
I just chose to stop participating.
Just stop participating. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're just not participating
we
anymore.
will not comply. Right. So, at this point, where are these people at? Well, they're right here in front of you. So
Yeah.
actually, this is something
Yeah.
you and I are both deeply passionate about, built our practices this way. This is how we ran. And it's just, this is where we got to work right now. So
yeah, Dr. Pete, I mean, we joke about post-COVID, but the reality is there's more people than ever that are wandering around in the wilderness of your community looking for help, right? So we need to go find those people, right? So we need to make sure that they find us because they're seekers. They're looking for a solution. Let's make sure they find you, right? So the best way for them to find you is through the social proof of an existing patient, right? That's why referrals are so powerful. So we want to leverage that, right? So we want to be able to let's level up what we're doing with referral generation. So we're going to teach you this mechanism, this concept first, but then a series of mechanisms to ensure that you get this predictable inflow of new patient referrals month in and month out every month, right? So the low-hanging fruit system speaks to this dynamic. Is we spend a lot of time talking to a lot of chiropractors, and here's what I know to be true is 80% of your new patient referrals come from 20% of your patients, right? So everybody's nodding their head right now. The 80-20 rule, right? So 80% of your new patient referrals comes from 20% of your patients, right? Think about that. Right? It's the Pareto principle, right? So I'm going to teach you the 20-60-20 rule, right? So for those of you watching us on YouTube, it looks like this, right? So you've got 3 zones in your practice, 20, 60, 20, right? So you've got 20 on the far left-hand side, you've got 20% on the far right-hand side, and you've got the 60% in the middle, right? So 20% on the far right-hand side, they're never going to refer to you. Okay. So no matter what, they're just not the type of person that refers. They have a very personal experience with chiropractic. And even though they may love you, they're not going to tell anybody about you no matter what. So no matter what you do or say, you're not going to change them. They're not going to refer. The far left-hand side of that group of people, that far left side of the continuum, that 20% on the far left-hand side, these are your referring ambassadors. These are their animals, right? So this is where all of those referrals are coming from. They are organic referrals, right? Where it's happy people send more people, right? They respond well to your campaigns. They respond well to any process that triggers a referral, right? So this is where your 80% of your referrals are coming from right now, this 20% of the population. So no matter what you do or say, you can't screw them up, right? So they're going to refer people to you, right? Now there's a 60% in the middle that we need to address. It's the 60% in the middle. This is where all the low-hanging fruit are. The 60% in the middle, this group of people right here in the middle, Dr. Pete, these are the people that are just simply busy. They're just preoccupied. They're not focused on interacting with anybody and talking to them about chiropractic and promoting chiropractic and telling people to come to you. So it's like, yeah, you'll get a smattering of new patient referrals from that group of people in the middle, but it's usually they're reacting to or responding to somebody saying, hey, do you know a good chiropractor? Or, hey, weren't you struggling with migraines? What did you do about that? Hey, didn't you have sciatica after shoveling all that? So it's like they're reacting and responding, right? So I know docs are listening right now and being like, yeah, he's nailing me, right? That's my practice right now. We're going to teach you how to take that group of people in the middle, that 60% zone, and let's bump that up so that all of those people in that 60% zone are referring somewhere between 1 and 3 new patients for every one of those people in the middle. Dr. Pete, these are the low-hanging fruit, right? This is where that additional 10 to 15 new patients per month every month will show up in your practice, referred by your patients at low cost or no cost. And this is what we consider the low-hanging fruit.
So I want to speak to a couple of things here. I want to speak to a point you made that you said, you know who they are. And I'm going to speak to some of you and say, some of you don't know who they are. In other words, you know who the 20% are that refer, but you don't know who the people are that are not. And that's the issue. Is we talk about the story cycle and we talk about, people's story and how important that is. And, when I really analyze practice and I look at this and I look at the low-hanging fruit and I say, okay, so do you actually know who the people are that are referring and who the people that are not referring? Are you crystal clear on those people? We had, in practice, I had basically a report card for every patient, and there was things I tracked. It was what I was tracking was engagement. And one of the KPIs, you might say, that I gave to my patients was Has their family members been checked? Has their spouse, if they have a spouse, have their kids been checked? Have they been to the advanced workshop? How many advanced workshops? Have they been to the dinner? If we do dinners, have they been to the spinal hygiene class? Have they been, like, there were just all the things that we had in place that were just like these, and have they referred, and then who they referred, when they referred them, how many they referred. There's a whole category of all that. So
yeah, complete pedigree of where these referrals are coming from.
You have to be able to. So first thing is I want to speak to is just from a vital signs perspective is, do you have a mechanism for even tracking the folks in your practice, the 20-60-20? Do you have a mechanism to track? And I could tell you, I could look at my practice and say, if you put a name, you put 100 names in front of me, I could tell you who the 20, who the 60, and who the 20 are. I could tell you name by name. I will tell you right away. And I can tell you exactly what I'm doing about it and what we're going to do about it. And as a team going into the huddle, looking at the shift for the day, who's coming in today, and what event, workshop, campaigns coming up in the next 2, 4, 6 weeks, I could tell you exactly by name who I'm going to talk to that day, table side, and exactly conversation I'm going to have, or my associate, or my check-in CA, or my floor CA, or whoever. And exactly we distribute by name, by person, exactly what it is. So we know exactly what's going on here, guys. This is so important that, number one, you got to, I always tell people, it's not enough for you to know their name. You have to know their story. And part of their story is are they referring or not? Why are they not referring? Where are they in this breakdown? Know their story. This is part of their story as a practice member. And I'll say this, if they find themselves in the middle, 60, and they don't refer, just go ahead and say goodbye, because that is a sign, a symptom of someone who is not going to be staying around much longer. Historically, if you look back and you look at your statistics, you'll see eventually those people, they will exit. And so this is not only a referral conversation, this is a retention conversation, this is a business conversation about how to build that remarkable practice, that remarkable business, that scalability, durability comes back to this.
Yeah, that distinction was really critical. So CEOs, listen up. You know the truth. People are either working their way into chiropractic or they're working their way out of chiropractic. People are either working their way into your practice or they're working their way out of your practice. There is no stasis. People are either working their way into your business or they're working their way out of your business, right? So CEOs, listen up. You got to have that distinction in your mind right now. It's like one of the characteristics of somebody who's going to stick around and stay in your practice is they refer. So that's one way to measure, if you will, so one way to get a pulse of where are they in their understanding of chiropractic, their value of chiropractic, and what role chiropractic plays in their life and in their health, right? So is somebody having a private experience or a public experience with chiropractic, right? So do they refer to your practice? Man, we don't want to leave these things to chance. We don't want to leave these things to memory management. It's so critical, Dr. Pete, just to recognize that, my own personal experience with it is I've got a pretty good memory, right? I get it from my mom. My mother remembers everything, right? So we joke about it in my house, but I picked up on some of that pathology, and that really worked for me. And I used memory management for a lot of things as I went. And then the wagon wheels started to fall off. The apples were falling off of the cart around 350, pushing 400. I'd be looking at patients. I'd be like, did I ever tell you that? Have I told you this already? I think everybody's probably laughing with me right now because we all do it. It's like, I'm looking at you right now, and I just don't even know if I've ever told you this or not, or explained this to you. And if you're trying to change somebody's belief system, if you're trying to teach them how to address their life and their health differently, we all recognize that everybody's on a journey. You can't throw everything all at once at them. You've got to build understanding. You're taking somebody from a believer to an understander. That's a process. There's not some cathartic thing that you're going to say or do that's all of a sudden they're going to shift like that, right? So yeah, the lights come on, but it's usually titration. It's usually drip, 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 boom, and then it happens, and then they flip, right? So there's a titrating effect of patient education. Man, you can't memory manage this stuff. At least I can't. So I want to make sure that we recognize the value of having a process, having a system, and making sure that we have mechanisms in place that protect and ensure that every single person is experiencing all of the information that they need to arrive at their own epiphany, to make sure that they have their own breakthrough, that there's a process that's happening so that we know there's a safety net under each person that God trusts us with. They come into our practice and it's like, man, I'm going to demonstrate the capacity to manage well those things that I'm trusted with, right? It's law of dominion. If I get trusted with new patients, I'm going to demonstrate the capacity to manage these things well. And one way we're a good steward of this is through our process and the systems that we have in place that safeguards the sequential approach to changing the way a person views their health, their role in their health, and most importantly, your role as their chiropractor in their health.
So process is what it's all about. And I love the analogy of titration. That's really cool. Is exactly what it is. And, you know, we talk about consistency is the new intensity. We've been sharing that, you know, this past year, we talked about that. And the beauty of a process is it works. So trust the process was always my big thing. And it still is trust the process. Trust the process. Well, first of all, you got to work the process. Number one. And then number two is once you work the process, trust the process. Just trust it. Give it time. And what I found is that good things come with time. And this is an outcome that we want to have over time. So when you talk about the 20% at the top, these folks, these are the people, like you said, that they're going to refer, they're your ambassadors. I mean, they're going to refer and you can't, it's almost unpredictable. They could refer right away and then consistently and then not for a while and then back again. It's the 60% in the middle. You've got to have the processes in place because you can start to predictably determine when and where you're going to generate a referral. And so what we're going to talk about now is some predictable moments in time in the process where we can begin to not only plant seeds, which it starts with, then you water seeds and then you watch them grow and then you harvest them, right? So it's planting, watering, growth, harvesting. So you got to remember this is it's like farming, right? So we've got to be able to understand there's a specific process. So Dr. Steven, let's jump in. We're going to talk about, I think, some stages along the journey.
Yeah, let's illustrate this. Let's just do some quick and dirty on this, right? Yep. So, let's pick out, 2 or 3 of these of our favorites, sort of greatest hits type stuff. And, what we want you to hear is we've actually identified 54 different mechanisms, 54 opportunities, and therefore 54 responsibilities to ask for referral during the first 40 visits, right? So Pete, go first. Like, give us an example. Let's go in order so we don't lose everybody. We don't have the benefit of a whiteboard here. So early on in the patient process, what do you like?
So my favorite, step is the first step, the new patient phone call. So when a patient is calling in, and I get it, I know maybe they're booking in online and all that, but when you're reaching out to them and and I do recommend you actually do a reach out and do a phone call. So I'm going to speak to number one, the doctor that says, yeah, but we could just use text to, connect with them. That's great. You should use all the text, but the power of that first phone call is so powerful. And the question is very, very simple. When you make that call, it is the question, is this appointment for you or your entire family? And the reason why that's a very powerful question is because it's a seed. And I know that by asking that question, I'm starting it's my first, if you imagine a flywheel, it's my first push. I just start that process. And even though on the other side, I'm going to expect the response, this appointment is for me, 95% of the time, 5% of the time, you're going to get, or 5 to 7%, you're going to get somebody asking back, what do you mean? Or they may actually say, can I bring my family? Or could I bring someone else with me? Like, so you're going to have a percentage of people, 5 to 7, maybe 10% that will respond. Most of the time people say it's just for me, but you began by planting the seed in the ground. This is really important. So I have to train with my staff all the time in this and say, listen, you got to keep doing it. Say, well, most of the time people just say it's me. It's for that 5 to 7, that's maybe right, up to 9 or 10% of the time. If they ask the question, what do you mean? Or could I bring somebody else with me? That response is going to happen, but it's not for that purpose. Just so you know, that's an outlier scenario in case. So I'm not training on getting those 7 to 10% or 5%. We're doing this to simply put the seed in the ground. That's all you're doing. So that's got to be your focus. Your focus isn't asking that question so that they do bring their family in for that visit. Your purpose of asking the question is that we have a culture, we have a mission, we have a purpose, we have a premise, we have a business that's here to serve families in our community. So we begin with the end in mind right from the start. So actually, even that's my first is on
what
that
a great
first call.
Great place to start. Day 0, new patient phone call, plant the seed. And it's just built into the mechanism of the new patient phone call script, right? So I know where it's going to happen, Pete. We're going to get asked, oh, can I get my hands on that script that Pete, and you know, I heard Franson say something on a script. It's like, they're going to want our script. So let's do this. Let's do a giveaway. All right. So let's make that available. So we've got a scripting packet we'll put together, and we'll make that available. We'll have a link for that in the show notes. So if you want to get your hands on, like, what does the actual script look like? Don't stress out and try to write down everything we're saying here. We'll make that available to you. So the second one, I'll pick one here, is one of my favorite scripts also. And it's the new patient pre-consultation script, right? So it dovetails perfectly with what you chose, which is setting up the consciousness of it's a family checkup, right? So just like if they were moved to a town and they were trying to find a new dentist, it wasn't odd that they, asked, is this appointment for you, for your entire family, for a dentist? So why would it be for a chiropractor? So that was the seed that was planted. I'm going to continue to sow seeds here in family checkups in the pre-consultation. So after I do the meet and greet and create an empathetic connection, so a person's now available because they trust me, they felt heard. Now they're listening to the chiropractic spiel, right? It's the pre-consultation. You have to give them context, right? They don't know anything about chiropractic. Don't assume they do. They definitely don't. So give them we do a pre-consultation script, and that ends with, we start talking about history, and we talk about trauma history, right? And then we go into cause of subluxation, right? So, and the very end of that script, Dr. Pete, is, hey, Pete, spending any time here in our office, you're going to notice that we see a lot of kids here. There's a lot of children here. And that might be confusing to some of our new patients. Like, why does a kid need to see a chiropractor? I'm like, great question. Did you know that the most current research shows that our problems, yours and mine, most likely started way back when we were little ones? We were learning how to walk or ride a bike, or the sports that we played, or the tech stress of, growing up with a phone in your hands now, right? So these problems most likely started when you're young. Did you know that some of our patients even experienced their first spinal stress, and therefore their first subluxation, during the birth process and the delivery itself? That's why we make it the highest priority in this practice is to check each member of the family. And we create a written record for the early detection of problems like subluxation, so that these little ones have the best opportunity to grow up healthy and to develop optimally, as opposed to waiting for crisis like you and I were taught. Does that make sense, Pete?
Yes.
All right. So you guys hear that, the pause to give him an opportunity to give testimony that, yes, that makes sense. What have I done? I've just pre-framed a few things. Like, I've helped them understand that we see kids, that we check children, we check the whole families. And the word is we're promoting is spinal checkups, spinal and nerve system checkups, right? So they're used to hearing a checkup for the eyes and the ears and the teeth. Why wouldn't we do a checkup for the whole family as the children are progressing and growing, right? So listen, planting the seed and giving them an opportunity to pause and say, yeah, actually, that makes sense. We're planting a seed, and we're actually making a promise, right? And we're making a promise when we say the highest priority of our practice is to check each member of the family and create an early record for detection. Dr. Pete, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of us, we wonder, okay, we say the day one is 80% about the patient and 20% about us. So one of the things I have just a real sensitivity to is, number one, being able to say that and mean it, and it land for a person. So when you're communicating this, like when I was listening to you communicate and share that with me, I'm wondering if you're just telling me like some script and you're saying it out of your head, or if this is actually something you're coming from your heart. And we talk about empathetic connection and making that empathetic connection on that day one, how important that is. And that, when you're communicating this, which is actually sharing your heart with the person that's sitting there across from you, what I heard from you, Dr. Stephen, was that this is something that's extremely personal and it's extremely important. And that this is something that your patients, people have already committed and are further down the road than me as a new patient, they value. And that is what we want to create in this scenario. It's just, again, you're planting the seed. You're starting to start the conversation. The wheels are starting to spin a little bit like, yeah, that does make sense. Not complete, but like I'm starting to pick up on this. Like this is kind of a big deal. Like the spine is pretty important. So the brain, the spinal cord, the nerves, like this is actually really important. So, and they're going to start thinking to themselves, like, how come nobody told me about this before? How come they're not doing this? How come, right? You're going to start asking questions. And that's actually a really good place. You're starting to kind of stir that pot. You're starting to get people to that place, which actually sets you up for one of the ones that I love, which is the third one, which is where the two things script, which is where we talk about, the results and then the better results faster workshop, and actually inviting the significant other who's in that scenario. So if you think about this, if you began this process by talking about, is this for you or your whole family? And then you start talking about family. And then the third stage is actually inviting a member of their family to come back, because, if you're anything like me, you're going home, you're talking to your spouse about this, you're trying to explain this all to them, and they're like, I don't know what's going on. So let me help you out and do this for you. Dr. Stephen, I'm sure you'll give the exact script there. But, when you set this up right, a lot of people say, well, I'm having a hard time, getting the significant other to come to the Better Results Faster workshop. Well, probably if we go further upstream, maybe we didn't do a good enough job planting the seeds and the value of chiropractic for the whole family and the value of chiropractic for everybody. Because if you did, you would be like, yeah, I need my spouse to come and like kind of hear about this, because I'm having a hard time teaching and explaining it, but it's really starting to sink in over here. And I want to make sure that they get it. They get this, they get the understanding as well. And so that's, for me, the whole, if your house runs like my house kind of conversation is really, really powerful. And so this is where we begin to take somebody who's went from a seeker to a believer, new believer, early stages, and we help them start to that process of becoming that understander. And at the same time, introducing it to someone that they love and they care about. And this is such a ninja move here. It's so critical. But again, you're speaking into the person's listening. You're actually in agreement, and people are nodding and they're with you in this moment. And I think that's that third stage for me. A mechanism is that Better Results Faster workshop, and why we do this workshop, this foundation workshop for all new patients. It's a requirement. It's part of the process. And if your house is anything like my house, that is such a powerful framework where you get people to agree with you. And again, it's the perfect parlay for them to bring their significant other with and their spouse with them to this another mechanism, which is to the Better Results Faster workshop, which is for me where everything changes.
Yeah. So to give this some context, this particular script happens right after a commitment, right? So as soon as a new patient makes their commitment in the Remarkable Practice system, that happens on day 2. When you go through the time, then the energy, then the money commitment, they've said yes to first 4 months of care. They said yes to 40 visits. They've said yes to $4,000, whatever it is. It's a holy shit moment, right? So this is when everybody's like sphincteric, and they're like, oh my gosh, how can I mitigate my risk here? How can I protect myself, my investment here? That's a perfect moment. It's a moment that's just pregnant with opportunity. You have their full presence, and their whole body's like, wow, what can I do to protect that investment of my time, energy, focus, and money? That's when we lean right in and we say, Pete, 2 things, right? So I'll just segue it with, Pete, I look forward to helping you reach your health goals. I'll shake your hand, right? And I'll say 2 things right here, right in the moment, right when they just said yes to their commitment. I'll say 3 times a week means 3 times a week, right? So the patients who follow our recommendations for care do not miss or change their appointments. They get our best work and they get the best results. They're happy, we're happy, everybody's happy. For the patients who change or miss appointments, they interfere with our work. They slow down or sabotage their results, and they get frustrated. They're not happy, we're not happy, nobody's happy. So Pete, 3 times a week means 3 times a week. Are you with me?
Yes.
Right. So yes, you're looking for that nod. So that's that first part of the script. The second part of the script hits the second component of this, which is, to Dr. Pete's point, it's the workshop. Now listen to this. Now, Pete, Pete, I know you still have a lot of great questions for me. Okay. In fact, you don't even know what to ask me. There's things that you're going to need to start doing, things you're going to need to stop doing. So you're working with us and not against us, right? So for your convenience, I've organized all that information for you in a new patient orientation called the Better Results Faster Workshop. Pete, your orientation is scheduled for Wednesday night at 6:45. Okay. Now, Pete, if your house runs anything like my house, I'm sure you've been going home and trying to explain to Mary everything you've been learning here. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. She's probably asking you some questions that you have a hard time answering. Am I right? Right?
Yes.
Pete, that's my job. I want you to bring Mary with you to that Better Results Faster, to that new patient orientation. She can ask those questions and I'll answer them for you. Okay, very good. So listen, what I'm doing there is I'm stepping up into this place of created curiosity. I want him to protect his investment. And I've recognized that he's going home and trying to defend his choice to pursue chiropractic care, and his spouse might have some pushback. And I'm providing an answer for that, a solution. And it's a place where I can actually step in and fill in the blanks. So Dr. Pete, man, there's powers in these scripts. I know people are going to be looking for the scripts, so let's give them away. There's a bonus script I'm going to throw in, which I call the fantasy script, which is the way I train patients to refer to the practice. So if you're wondering, like, what do you teach your patients? So you got to be able to equip patients to be able to refer well. So God knows you don't want to leave them on their own to try to explain to their friends, family, loved ones, coworkers, why they should see a chiropractor. You know what? Step into the gap for them, equip them, give them, train them, teach them how to refer to chiropractic. And we're going to equip you to equip them. So make sure you click the link below and download our remarkable referral machine scripting packet for you from love, from Dr. Pete and myself. Until next time, God bless, guys. Have a remarkable week.
Please stick around for more business insights from this week's bonus interview with our remarkable success partner, dedicated to helping you more successfully help more people. Enjoy.
What's up, Remarkables? Hey, I'm excited to have a conversation with one of my favorite chiropractors, one of the people that I just get to spend a lot of time with, and I really appreciate him, who he is as a person, who he is as a chiropractor, who he is as a father, as a husband. Is just really one of the best and most interesting conversationalists in chiropractic. He's one of the smartest guys I know. He's really the answering machine, as far as I'm concerned, in my circle of friends and colleagues. So I'm happy to bring him in for a conversation today. It's Dr. Jeff Langmaid. Dr. Jeff, the smart chiropractor, as we say in Boston. What's up, Dr. Jeff?
Not too much. I appreciate chatting with you. Can't wait to spend some time together. And thank you for welcoming me into your remarkable tribe.
It is, man. It is a remarkable tribe. So we're going to have a conversation today about this new initiative, which I think is really exciting. And in full transparency, I was involved from a get-go, because really this thing scratches an itch that we've had in the remarkable practice. And I see it all over chiropractic, especially in social media, in the forums, etc. And that's the itch of, hey, I need a chiropractor in Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, does anybody know a great chiropractor in Beverly, Massachusetts? Hey, you know what? We're going to refer a family down to Miami, Florida. Who do we got there, right? So you see this all the time. You know, chiropractors are always looking for great chiropractors, like-minded chiropractors that they can trust to send either their families or patients that are moving to an area, or, you know, patients who have family members or friends in a different city, a different part of the world, or a different part of the country. Man, I just love that we're solving this challenge of a chiropractor being able to find another chiropractor. So talk to us about the Chiro Bar.
Yeah, this solves what I call online bitter beer face. I think we've all been there. We have a patient, maybe a family member, a friend. We're looking to make that referral, and we really want to find a fantastic doc. We want to search based upon who they hang out with, what are their professional affiliations, are they within the remarkable practice or, organization, what techniques do they utilize, where are they located? And it's just so difficult. We end up going into Facebook groups and kind of hoping for the best. So with Chiro Bar, we've taken over 25,000 active docs. We probably have you, if you're listening and watching, in there right now. All you have to do is go over and register your profile. That enables you to fill in all the details and makes it super easy for other docs to find you and to make those referrals. So that process is one that I found to be just broken over time. And it's so needed in our profession as we move around. And hey, as we ourselves want to get adjusted when we're on the road or spending time with the family.
Yeah, that's so true, man. So I've brought this up. I've talked to people about the Chiro Bar. I'm like, hey, go register for the Chiro Bar. And people are like, the first question is, well, why don't you just use Google? And I'm like, that's such a great question. I'm like, when you think about it, Google is B2C, right? So when somebody's putting their website up or they're putting any information on social media, it's chiropractors talking to prospective new patients, right? So it's B2C, it's business to consumer, right? So that's not the same conversation, right? It's like, yeah, I can go and poke around somebody's website and look at their social media feed and figure them out, right? But man, I want something that's a B2B source, a business to business source, a DC to DC conversation and communication, right? So I want to be able to get on there and say, oh yeah, no, I went to Life. Like if you look at Camilla and I, it's a chiropractic couple. We went to Life University. We've been practicing for 26 years. We do wellness oriented chiropractic care. We do corrective care. We do family care. We do Gonstead work, right? So we teach the wellness lifestyle, right? We do workshops. So we have family plans, right? We're a cash and cash-like practice, and we do super billing, and like we love extremity work, and we love working with CrossFitters, and we love working with pregnant couples and babies and kids. And you start talking about this whole environment of like, oh yeah, that's my doc, that's my practice, that's my place, that's who I want to send my families to, or that's definitely not it, right? So it's like, this is great. It's a way to be able to say, it's going to compel the right people to refer to you, and it's also going to repel the wrong people, right? What a blessing, right? So to be able to say, I know you're a great guy. I know this person say you do good work, but your practice may not be the practice environment that I'm actually looking for, whether it's technique or culture or what have you, Jeff. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, thank you. It's all about specificity, right? So being able to really not have to, as you said, poke around Google, hope for the best. You're going on somebody's website and trying to figure it out. We made it super easy so that you can go and search by technique. You can search by education, as you mentioned, expertise, professional affiliation, and of course, location and name, so that it saves you a bunch of time. And just like the care you deliver in your practice, you can be as specific as possible with those referrals. So as granular as you want to get, we enable you to do it at the Chiro Bar.
Yeah. So just so I'm going to clarify something, this was something that we needed for the Remarkable Practice. Like I needed to have a directory for the Remarkable Practice docs because they're always looking to refer to each other. But what I recognize is this is so much bigger than the Remarkable Practice. I wanted it to be agnostic, right? So, so when we say, oh yeah, the Remarkable Practice, it's not a Remarkable Practice offering, although we're big advocates and champions of it. And I tell everybody in TRP, but with all of the coaching groups and like you said, all the professional associates that would have you, everyone should get in there and really create a profile that is compelling and revealing, right? So it should be a way for you to showcase, this is actually who we are. This is exactly how we work. These are the specific types of people and cases that we love to work with, right? So it's a way to be able to have this, creative process virtually online. Man, I love it. I love it. So it's almost like a dating site, where you're like, hey, be truthful about who you are, what your core values are, your vision story is. So you actually are attracting people that you're aligned with, right? So, all right. So I know that there, it scratches more than one itch, so to speak. And the purpose of a business is to solve a problem for another business. So what are some of the other features? What are some of the other problems that the Chiro Bar solves?
That's a great question. And it ties into the same sort of thing, meaning what are the items that we're constantly looking for, searching for, and how do we make it easy? What are these fragmented pieces of chiropractic? And some of that are events. I know all of us, we pencil in those TRP events on our calendar, but if you're looking for continuing education or you're looking for a specialty technique event, it can be super challenging to say, what's near me? Am I just hoping for the best? Where do you go and search? So we've preloaded over 100 events and many more to come for this year and beyond. And again, this is searchable by state, by location, by word, keyword name, so that you're able to keep abreast at all the Chiro events, CE and non-CE, in and around your area. And that becomes a very good resource of information for you to stay up to date with what's going on and not be like, I missed it. I can't believe XYZ was in town and I would have made it there. So Chiro events is one. And another one, Stephen, that I want to make sure we touch on is our job board for many of the younger docs out there, or maybe if you're just looking for that next step in your career, whatever it might be. Finding different positions and opportunities has always been a challenge. Do you go on Indeed? Do you go on your state board association? And that becomes, again, super fragmented. You're looking 17 different places. So the job board, we've taken and aggregated as many of those positions as we can find across the entire internet in one central place, so that you can search by, and great feature is you can search by a map. So if anybody heads over to the Chiro Bar, they can click job board. They're going to see a beautiful map with hundreds of jobs popped up. They can click around, see all the details and information, and really, really get dialed in as far as opportunities are concerned.
So good, man. All right. So, you guys are one of our success partners for the Remarkable Practice. And, the purpose of our success partner group is, the premise of it is you'll help our people help more people. So, I always ask that question when I'm interviewing our success partners, how's the Chiro Bar help our people help more people?
I think the answer to that is pretty straightforward, and it is mostly with the directory first. If you can go over there, it is totally free. If I didn't say that, you can confirm your listing, enter in your information. That makes it super easy for you to receive referrals, which is fantastic. The more information that's there, the easier it is for another doc to refer. And of course, it's a great resource for you to make those outbound referrals to the doc of your choice. So I love that aspect of it. Of course, with the events, it's never bad to step up your business, your clinical game. So all of that's available for you. And as far as the job board is concerned, that's a direct line, right? If you're looking for that next step in your career, if you're looking to make a move across the country, around the world, or just down the street, this showcases all of the available opportunities. And the more chiropractors we have with their hands-on people, the better off we'll all be.
All right, man. So I got to ask, because inquiring minds want to know. So, you're famous for being the smart chiropractor, right? So now, we've got the Chiro Bar. So I need to know, are you more bartender or are you bouncer?
I would say I'm going to go with I'm mixologist. I'm mixologist. If we travel with our mutual friend Jason, I recently was asked. He's about a foot taller than me, and I typically get asked, "Is this your bodyguard?" And that's me being the bodyguard. So in this case, I'm going to have to say I am more mixologist. I'm trying to craft the best and a world-class experience for everybody that visits the Chiro Bar, and it is welcome and open to all chiros.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Jeff Langmaid, Dr. Jeff Langmaid, the smart chiropractor, now known and famous for the Chiro Bar. Check it out. What's the website, Jeff?
It is thechirobar.com. Again, that's thechirobar.com.
Awesome, man. Well, on behalf of all of chiropractic, thank you for helping our people help more people. God bless, brother.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.